All right, exercise 4D. So just for those who are just returning back from last week, remember Thursday we didn't have our session. And so we only did 4C, exercise 4C. That was to do with area of basic shapes. Listening, don't speak while I'm speaking. It's disrespectful. Thank you. And then we're now doing 4D. So this is our second session. We did 4C for first. Second session, we're now doing 4D. We will go back to 4B, but we don't do 4A. Okay, because 4A is too, I think it's quite done in year 7 quite a bit. So we're going to go back to 4B later on with circles. We think circles are generally harder for students to remember the rules. That's why we started off with 4C. Okay, so 4C to 4D. So this is all quadrilaterals, meaning four-sided shapes. These are the ones that we call that aren't basic shapes. You've got a rhombus, a kite, and a trapezium. Now, out of these three shapes, which one, I'm going to label it 1, 2, and 3. Which one is the rhombus? 1, 2, or 3?
1. 3.
Whoa, we've got a mixture here. Hands up for number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, now more 8, 9. All right, so we've got 9 people for shape 1. What about number 2? Hands up if that's a rhombus for number 2. All right, so it's definitely not. We got 0. And then how many for shape 3? 1, 2, 3, 4. About 4. All right. So. All right, 3. The correct answer is 1. And how do you know if it's a rhombus or not?
I know, square.
Very good. So square has all the sides the same. A rhombus is very similar, except it's a skewed square. So notice the dashes. Listening. Shh, don't speak while I'm speaking. A rhombus is a square, but skewed. So meaning it doesn't have a 90-degree angle. Okay, it's not right angles. So this is a rhombus. Right here, this is a rhombus. You can tell by the equal sides with the dashes. What's number 3 then?
Is that a trapezium?
That is a trapezium. I want you to write down, as you're drawing the shapes, make sure to draw the shapes into your notes. This is a trapezium. Shh. Listening. Eyes and ears towards me. Remember, actively listening or actively note-taking. One of the two. Now, how do you know if it's a trapezium or not? It's based on the fact that you only have one pair of parallel lines. So any four-sided shape that only has one pair of parallel lines, that immediately is a trapezium. Okay? And then lastly, what is number 2 then? It's a kite. Now there is a key thing. By definition, this is probably the most complicated shape. Most students can get confused between a rhombus and a kite, but there's a key difference here. Do you notice? Shh, listening. I want you to notice here, in a kite, see these two sides here? They're like connected to each other. They're right next to each other. We call that adjacent. Okay, the word adjacent, I'm going to write it down. Adjacent. Adjacent means next to each other. Now, these two sides that are next to each other, have you noticed that they have different side lengths? Okay, so they have different side lengths. One has a dash, and the other has 2 dashes. Okay, and this is one of the key things, that the adjacent sides are different, but where they are symmetrical, so where it's cut in half, they have the same side lengths, which is very different to a rectangle. See, a rectangle, never will you have the adjacent sides equaling each other. See, these two are opposites. These two are the same, but they're opposites. The only kite has a chance where both are connected and they can have the same sides. That's why kite is a bit more special. Okay, so in terms of its definition, we call it adjacent. But right now, most of you, how do you know if it's a kite? Always look for adjacent sides that are equal. That's one of the key things to look out for to know if it's a kite. Okay? Now, I do want you to copy the shapes because the way they put in the symbols for you, that will help you know how to find the area. Now, there's two formulas that I want you to have in your sheets. A equals half times x times y. And this is the one I gave to you in our last session. Okay, this is the area for a trapezium. And this is the area for a kite or a rhombus. Okay, so I want you to copy the shape down for a rhombus and a kite, and then we're going to start applying it. Okay, and then I'll talk about the logic to why this one works, why it works for both a kite and a rhombus. Okay, please copy that down. I'm going to come around and double check. I want to see the shapes. I want to see the notations. Thank you. Ashley, don't speak while I'm speaking. And I'm glad you said sorry, because you're not going to do it again. So we've got a rhombus. Make sure to have the symbols. Okay, I want to see all dashes the same so you can tell the difference between rhombus and a kite. So adjacent sides, I notice adjacent means next to each other. These two are the same, and these two are the same, but these two aren't. It's only very special to just a kite. Whilst a trapezium, the key feature is that it only has one pair of parallel lines. Okay, so you need to be able to identify them correctly to apply the correct formula. Okay, so there are two formulas there. Make sure to have two formulas, three shapes. I'm going to walk around. I want to see your three shapes there. Okay, make sure to write the x's and the y's so you know which ones to multiply. Like my last session, I mentioned that the two lengths that you multiply are perpendicular, meaning they are 90 degrees. Notice in all three shapes, there's a 90-degree symbol. Trying to teach you that you can only multiply length by width. That is 90 degrees with each other. Let me check. I want to see your shapes. Good. Good. You've got the formula down, Josh. You just need a shape. Shape and formula. Shape and formula. Make sure to put the details in the shape. Details in the shape. Shape and formula. Shape and formula. Let's go. Shape and formula. Very good, Emmy. Very good, Rose. Good work, Logan. Love the pictures. Look at Chris's detailed drawing. So neat. Very good. Love it, Ryder. That's looking nice. Beautiful. To the point that Luke is now looking at your work because he's admiring it too. That's good. All the shapes, make sure to put them in details. They do. So the diagonals is where you use a formula. Just write A equals half times x times. Very good. Shapes and formula. Draw the shape, put in the detail, shape and formula. Make sure to put the details. Shape and formula. Put in the details. Shape and formula. Let's go. Shape and formula. Draw the shape. Write down the formula. Let's go, Josh. Formula. Beautiful. You've got another two shapes, another formula.
Get me my scholarship to the football. No, but I want to go to the academy. Read it. It says give me a scholarship.
I feel it. I feel you.
Read it. Just read the words like
until the end of the session. Then I'll read it, and then I'll take it to my office, and I'll read it again.
And then you'll be
then I'll take it to lunchtime, and I'll still read it.
But is he going to office?
And then
Oh no, I think yes.
Okay. Three shapes, two formulas. Three shapes, two formulas. Three shapes, two formulas. Very good. Beautiful. Beautifully drawn. Beautifully drawn. Very good, very good. Three shapes, correct. Three shapes, two formulas. Exactly like the way Lucas doing it. A lot of symbols in there. Great, beautiful. Really, three shapes? Three. I see three. Do you see three? Did you draw three? I did draw three. Which one is this? Let me punch it. Might help. Where's your two shapes, Josh? Two shapes. Well, you drew one, so he needs another two. Mike has drawn three. Two more shapes. It's up there. Not over there. Jake doesn't have it on his face.
That football, it was a deposit. Jake was not charger.
End of the day.
No, period.
Period on next day. He doesn't give his charger back until end of period 4 is that what you meant?
I even made it. You did it.
What? This period? To be period 1 of the 11th October. Okay. So 2023. Absolutely. 2022.
Oh, I see.
That's so I need to make a decision, and it usually takes me at least 10 years to figure it out. And I've already class training for you to tomorrow. 2023 would work for me. It's taking about 10 years just to draw 3 pictures. 3 pictures, look at this! What is this? Can I take a picture of this and send it to your mom for your email? Say, this is what he drew today. And then I'll take a picture of what Lucas done. I'm like, this is what that's Julie's done. Draw it properly. Draw it properly. Have a look at it. Looks beautiful done drawing. Look at that. Look at mine. Maybe I'm talking to Josh instead. Yes, very good. Look at his beautiful work. Look at the symbols in it. I want to see that. Yeah, it is beautiful. You better be jealous.
Look at mine.
Beautiful. This is what I'm talking about. Look at this. That's what I'm looking for. 3 shapes, 2 formulas. Not hard. 3 shapes, 2 formulas. Go, let's go. You got another 30 seconds. And I'm doing examples for you. 30 seconds. And we shall go. Here's an X. Here's a Y. Here's an X. Here's a Y. 4D. Exercise 4D. Two formulas, 3 shapes. Alright, team. Oh no, it's in the notes. It's in the notes. It's on OneNote. Alright, here we go. Let's do an example. Let's see what you've learned. This is example 9. Shh, shh, shh. Eyes and ears towards me. Thank you. Luca, laptops should not be active right now. You should be copying notes. Very good. Good man. Everyone just like Luca. All right, here we go. Example 9. So you got your formulas. I've asked you to draw them. I've asked you to write down 2 formulas, 3 shapes. Now you got 3 shapes here. You're going to identify them again. So here we go. Let's go with the first one. A. What shape is this? Can I please have... Oh, James.
Rhombus.
Rhombus. Very good. We've got rhombus. What is the formula? And I'm going to ask you now, Josh, because you drew these pictures and 2 formulas. What is the formula for rhombus, please?
A equals 1 over 2 times y.
No, it's 1/2xy.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Now you've got the X and you've got the Y. Fantastic, Josh. Now, just to help everyone else who might not understand the formula, this is a rhombus. This is the formula for a rhombus. Which one is my X and what is my Y? Because I'm trying to find the area of these shapes. Which one is X and which one is Y? Which do you multiply to? Can I please have Rihanna? Very good. Doesn't matter which one. Okay, so you need the two diagonals in a rhombus. You got 5 that's shown over here. That's your 5. Okay, so it's the two diagonals in a rhombus. When you multiply them together and then halve it, that's the area. So it doesn't matter which one's X or Y as long as they're both the diagonal lines. So these two diagonal lines are what you're multiplying to. You got 5 and 8. So your formula, how do you write it down? Again, I want you to write question, method, answer. Draw the shape. Write down the formula you're going to use. It's half times 8 times 5. Let's see your mathematics now. Half of 8. What is half of 8, Logan? 4. And then you're going to do 4 times the 5, which is what, Luca? 20. Very good. Do you write your answer just 20?
No.
No.
Meters.
20 meters.
Square.
Good, but the proper way to read it, squared meters. 20 squared meters is the correct way. Don't say meters squared. No one understands in the real world. Okay? So 20 squared meters is the correct answer for A. Let's look at B. What shape is B? Looking at your diagram, let's go with Jack. B. What shape is this? There's only 3 shapes. There's rhombus, trapezium, and kite. Which one is it? Kite. Very good. Next person. What is the formula, Jake? What is the formula for the area of a kite?
A.
Yeah, A equals.
1/3.
It's always half.
1 times 3.
I thought you wrote this down. Didn't you write it in your notes?
Oh, yeah, but I'm looking at it though.
Well, then look at it.
Times Y.
Times X times Y. That's an X. Check your handwriting. It's X and then Y.
But there is no time.
When you write 2 letters next to each other, it means times already. It's from algebra. All right, here we go. Half times X times Y. Again. Which one, listening, which one's my X and which one is my Y? Let's go with Ryder. Ryder, this is a kite. We've got the formula. Which one's my X and Y?
Your Y is. Why is one different to the one So the Y is the one where it's the 27 meters.
Very good. And again, this one doesn't matter as well. So your Y can be 10 and Y can be 20. It doesn't matter. You just need to know it is the 2 diagonal lines from one corner to the next corner. Notice it's a 4-sided shape. One opposite corners multiplied to each other will give you the answer. So it doesn't matter which one's X or Y. So here's half, multiply to 10, multiply to 20. Let's do our maths. Krish, half of 10. 5. 5 times 20. Let's go with Cooper. 5 times 20. 100. But do we leave our answers as 100? Let's go with Maddie. No. Good, but we don't say centimeters squared. We say? Very good. The proper way of reading it is squared centimeters. Most people will say centimeters squared. That's not the way we speak. Okay, so we read it as squared centimeters. Very good. Last example for today. The last shape. What is this shape? Let's go all the way to the back. Can I have Ashley? What shape do I have for C?
What are the options?
You have a rhombus, kite, and a trapezium.
Trapezium.
Very good. How do we know it is a trapezium? Let's go with Emmy.
There's one set of parallel lines.
Very good. There's only one pair or one set of parallel lines. When you see only one pair, that's an indicator it is a trapezium. Okay? So I see one pair, it's a trapezium. What is the formula for the area of a trapezium? Can I please have Blaze? Area for a trapezium. This one's a tricky one. Area for the trapezium. What's the formula?
A equals 1 over 2. Brackets A plus B.
Very good.
And H.
Times H. Very good. Now, this does matter which one is H. In that diagram, which one is H, Michael? In my number C, trapezium, it does matter which one is H in your formula here. So
H is 5 millimeters.
very good. How do you know which one's H? H, listening. I do actually want to mention about this because it does matter. So notice A and B didn't matter which one you chose. When it comes to C, trapezium, how do you know which one's H? Once you have identified the two parallel lines, listening, Jake, thank you. When you see the two parallel lines, you got 3 and 11 on the bottom there. The distance between them is your height. Okay, so what dictates the this difference between them? So where the two parallel lines are, how far they are away from each other, is your height. Okay, so it doesn't matter how I draw the shape. Always look for the parallel lines. How far are they from each other is your height. Okay, so be mindful because in the exercises, they will try to confuse you by drawing different ways of drawing a trapezium. And the best way to tell, find your two parallel lines, the difference or distance between them is your height. Okay, we call that the height, right? So, our height is 5, so I'm going to fill in the formula. Here we go.
Will they always tell us what the height is?
They have to, if you're going to find the area. Yeah. So, height is 5. Now, what is A or B? Can I please have? Let's go with, Michael?
3 and 11.
3 and 11. And in this case, it doesn't matter which one's A or B. You can choose whichever you want. So, 3 plus 11, those are your two parallel lines. Let's work it out mathematically now. How do you work this out mathematically? What do you have to do first? What do you have to do first? So looking at the mathematics here.
Isn't it you half 3 and 11?
Oh, you can. But what do you have to do first? Bid maths or blood maths? 3 plus 11. Brackets first. Okay, so brackets come first. 3 plus 11 is? 14. Okay, after you've done the brackets, remember half next to a bracket means times. This means times. So you're doing half of 14 times the 5. Now you can do the mathematics. Half times 14, which we know is? Very good. So 7 times the 5 gives you 35. But you don't write your answers 35. What do you write it as? 35. Not millimeters squared? Squared millimeters. Very good. See, I'm practicing to train your reading here. Okay, so it's squared meters, squared centimeters, and squared millimeters. Okay? That's today's exercise. 2 formulas, 3 shapes. Your job is to identify which one of those shapes is which. Okay, then apply the formula. All right? I'm going to stop the video here.